Hello, I've just put this together to just do a final clarification of what to do with the baseline assessment and spelling with Grammarsaurus, and then what to do with the first few objectives. So it's just clear as day, and then I can keep copying and pasting this video link in response to people's questions because we keep getting asked very similar things. So I have an example of a baseline assessment that someone's done. So the baseline assessment is specifically checking the grapheme phoneme correspondences of your children. So this is almost like a checking how well they've done with phonics and so far what they know about that. It is done because in Spelling with Grammarsaurus we teach morphemes, and morphemes are made up of graphemes. If you can't use certain graphemes, you're going to struggle to spell a morpheme. So we need to make sure that we know the bespoke grapheme gaps of our children. So the test tests all the ones they need in order to achieve spelling with morphemes accurately. And so let's look at an example. We've got here in this example number 3 that they spell coach incorrectly. So I know that it should be OA. So the O sound there is spelled OA. If you're unsure of what it should be, what the grapheme is, whether it's an A separately or an OA together, you go to the grapheme analysis chart, you download that, you look at where we've put coach, and you'll see that it's OA and it's highlighted OA under OA. Okay, so every single word has been chosen so it meets all of the graphemes necessary across the 26 or 35 words. So OA is wrong. So we've just added brand new a spreadsheet for you to simply go on and put an X if they've got that wrong. Don't tick it if it's right for the other bit. So don't tick C as right and CH as right. Just do the things that are wrong, because this is you capturing the gaps of what your children have got. All the others are spelled right except for deeper, and as we know there, that should be the 2 E's making the E sound, and so I'll put an X there again. So to just confirm where that is, I'm going to go onto the website, and we go to the home page. We go to Spelling with Grammarsaurus, and where it says baseline assessments, and then you download the one for your year group, and in there is now the spreadsheet as well. So you go through all of those, you mark it, you do that entire thing for your class until you know what all the gaps are, and then you put it on that spreadsheet if you want to put it on a spreadsheet, and you now know the bespoke grapheme gaps of your class. This is not testing morphemes, it's just graphemes, so there's no morphemes involved. In that, we're not looking at them, it's just those specific ones. Okay, so let's go back to the spreadsheet, the PowerPoint. So all children start spelling with Grammarsaurus no matter what. This is just us checking before we move on to morphology. Are there still some GPC gaps from earlier? Now, you need to close those gaps. They're not just going to magically close, but what we don't want is for any child to be held back from doing spelling with Grammarsaurus because they've got GPC gaps, because some children, these gaps will be there for a long time because they struggle with this aspect of with phonics, because they may have specific issues with phonemic awareness, etc. So we don't want any child to be held back. They need to move forward, but you can close these grapheme gaps alongside the program. So with this specific child, let's say they're in my class and they're the only 2 they got wrong. So with this child, I need to close the grapheme gap for OA and EE alongside the program. How that looks is down to you. We're not a phonics company. This is not a phonics spelling scheme. How you do that is up to you. And most of the resources from your phonics scheme already have this in it. So we don't have the resources to close those gaps because this comes from phonics and not from morphology. So however you want to close that gap, close that gap. But we're letting you know that there's a gap before you move on. That's the point of the baseline. Okay, that's that. Ask questions as we go as well, because I shall see them at the bottom. Right. Assessments done. So on our long-term map on the website, you will find this. I'm going to just confirm where that is for everybody. So we go to the home page. We click that. And then we scroll. It's not on the tabs here. We scroll down and you see this big one here, Grammarsaurus 3D curriculum map, including writing, spelling and reading. We're going to click that. And then it's downloaded. So year 1, not covered in spelling with Grammarsaurus. That's why you can't see any spelling. From year 2, you can see this band here where it says assessments, vowels, consonants, compound words, introduction to morphology, and then the morphemes. And you can see it every time on that middle row. Year 3, you can see there's this double row here, and that's where I've copied and pasted that image from. So if you're looking for that, go to the home screen, click the big long teal button. That's our journey. If you want to do the spelling scheme in your own bespoke way, then you need to come to the training to discuss that, because I can't do that on a quick live. That it's too complex. You need to come and do the training. So then we go to the PowerPoint again. So you can see now where I've got this image from. I just literally print screened it a second ago and put it on here. So I've done the assessments. That means I now know the bespoke grapheme gaps for my children, and I'm going to close that alongside. And then once we've done the assessments and I've done that analysis and I'm confident what I need to close, then I'm going to do objective 1, which is vowels and consonants. Objective 2, compound words. Objective 3, introduction to morphology. No matter what year group I am, year 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, everyone has to do the first 3 objectives. If you do not know what vowels and consonants are, or what compound words are, or you don't know the base vocabulary of base and suffix, etc., you can't access the scheme full stop. This is your foundational knowledge. So where is that on the website? You go to your year group and you go to objectives and you click objectives. So let's look at year 3. And you can see it's clearly laid out. Objective 1, objective 2, objective 3. That's the same for everyone. And yes, the lessons are identical, especially this year, because no one's done this before. So everyone's doing the same. So everyone's got the same foundation concepts. If your children need extra time on these, do it. Because if you don't know what vowels and consonants are, they're going to struggle to do everything else. So these have to be really secure. And once you're happy, you then go on to the morpheme objectives, which start at objective 4. And it's going to look different for each year group. Now, this is where there's a variation. So everyone's got the same at the beginning. Now we enter a variation for objective 4, 5, 6, etc. So for year 2, you've got the easiest journey, as there's only one route. And that is SES is first, and then Y, and then ED, and then ING, etc. So it goes just like that. So for year 2, as you can see here, when we go to Spelling with Grammarsaurus, year 2, objectives, I've done objective 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we can see 4 is SES, just as it's on the map. And then 5 is suffix Y, and then 6 is suffix ed, and then 7 is suffix ing. It's done for you in the right order. You just go like that. Okay. Remember, when you teach it, when you teach it, make sure that you do not pronounce it like ing, you say ing. So when you do the first lesson, SES, you teach the children. SES means more than one, etc. So you teach what's on the card explicitly. And once the children have got that objective secure, we move on to our next objective. But before we introduce that, we recap that with our card or the flashcard at the beginning of the PowerPoint. That's on every PowerPoint. And then we introduce Y. Y means describing. And you just do my turn, your turn. So Y. Y means describing, like that. And then you do ED. And the idea is that you are going to be teaching these so much that the children are going to keep seeing them. So it's like this. but you're saying the letters ed, ing, y, etc., and not saying, like with this one, we don't say struct, we say struct on purpose. And we have done 2 lives, one with Sue on the website, Sue Hegland, and one with Kylie and Lisa quite recently. So go and watch those, because that will make more sense. Again, if you haven't done the training, it's going to be harder to do this. This is why you need to come and do it. Okay, so that's year 2. So what about year 3? Okay, well, not year, just key stage 2 generally, because it's only key stage 2 that have the root. So this is from year 5 specifically. You can see that we've got the place value root across the top that goes SES, Y, OUS year 3, OUS year 4. But year group standard, we've got SEMI, UNE, BI, TRI, etc. These are just our numeral bases, basically. So which one am I going to do? You decide this by doing the morpheme assessment linked to the writing you're doing, because everything is linked to writing in what we do. It's not random. So this is, the first piece is aligned to a non-chronological report. I've cut it off on here, but if you look at the full map, you'll see it's a non-chron report. So we're just uploading, like they're ready to go, but no one works on Sundays to upload. So tomorrow, when the uploaders are back in, these are going up. So you'll now see, I've done this one already to kind of show where it will go. You're going to see that after you've done objective 1, objective 2, objective 3, you now need to do a morpheme assessment to decide which objectives you deliver. Because some year 5 children may be fine with SES and Y. Maybe they've got that secure, but they may be terrible at OUS, which is our year 3 objective. And I don't want to bother teaching all of these for year 5 if they can't even do a year 3 objective. So that's what this looks like. It's another assessment like the baseline, but this time we're not looking at graphemes. We're looking at the morphemes specifically. So you have a teacher transcript, and you can see at the top of the transcript here that we are testing SES, suffix Y, suffix OUS from year 3, and suffix OUS from year 4. So you do exactly the same. The girl paints a beautiful picture. The girl paints beautiful pictures of animals. Yeah. So we're testing the S on that one. Dad always tells funny jokes at dinner, so we're testing S again. So you keep going through, and then you need to mark that to decide what have the children got and what have they not got. So you can see we've put already in this the morpheme assessment spreadsheet, and you put your names in again and just have a look. What are my children okay at and what they're not okay at? And when you're doing this, you're looking at 2 aspects. You're looking at the morpheme specifically, the S in each of these. See the green there? That is what you are testing to see if they've got that. But on top of that, we can't forget that we have some graphemes they may not know. So that's why we've put at the bottom of the transcript this guidance. The green equals the focus morpheme. So for instance, in the word juicy, we're looking at the suffix Y there. But if your child can't spell the juice part of juicy, where we've dropped the E and changed it to a Y, because and the black there is the stem or the base, then that's going to be wrong as well. So we need to think when we analyze the spelling, is it the Y part they haven't got? Or is it that they don't know the graphemes in the first bit? This is where you go back to that grapheme chart from the beginning, and if they can't spell in Bouncy the OU sound correctly, and they couldn't do it there earlier either, it's not going to magically close itself. That child's got a problem with that OU grapheme. So the black bit, the stem or the base, check that to see what the gap is there, and then you've got the green focus morpheme. When you're on here, you're just marking the focus morphemes, because that's what's going to inform the morpheme direction of the lessons. If you've still got children that have got gaps in spelling the black parts, so the grapheme parts, then that's where you've got to think, well, what gaps have we got there that need closing alongside? But as I've said already, some children will have those gaps for a long time. So you've got to kind of use that knowledge to best support them. So if I know, for example, that I've got a specific child that's poor at the ER grapheme in my class, or I've got a little group, when I then go on to teach OUS, I know that I can give some scaffold and support to be like, remember, this is the ER grapheme, and I could do a bit extra there to support in spelling the base or the stem to start with. So there's the balance between the two that you've got to get right, between the morphology and then the graphemes that even build the morphemes to start with. You still have to have that knowledge as well. And so then you're teaching both in tandem, and that has the most impact. If you just stop the children, say you're not allowed to do morphology because you've got too many gaps in your GPCs, but you know hand on heart that they've had phonics in reception, phonics in year 1, phonics in year 2, and they've had all these interventions and extra, and they've still got gaps, you need to look at moving on to morphology, because if you just stick at GPCs forever, not everything's spelt phonetically, so they're going to struggle getting too far. So put morphology in, but remember these gaps, they've got to be closed at some point, and you've got to kind of balance that out. Right, that's everything. So where is that found on the website? Just to confirm again. So we go to Spelling with Grammarsaurus, Year 5 objectives, and we can see now, because I've uploaded it, I haven't done the others yet. So please don't message me saying where are the others. They're not there yet. There's just this one that's gone up. They will all be up by the time you need them. They're going up tomorrow. And remember, you've just done the baseline. You've yet to teach consonants and vowels, compound words, and introduction to morphology. This is going to take some time. You are not going to be on to that assessment for a few weeks at least. Then when you do that assessment, you've got where you need to go. So let's say that in that assessment that the children did, we discover in our non-cron here that they didn't know the OUS. So I'm going to put my crosses for these children. They didn't know the OUS from year 3 and 4, etc. So for that reason, I need to reteach that objective. So I'm going to go back to Spelling with Grammarsaurus year 4 objectives, and I'm going to get the OUS, which is objective 4. It is objective 4. That's going up again tomorrow. It was rewritten to be extended from 3. To do the year 3 one, you go to year 3, which is there, yeah. And the year 4 one will be objective 4 when that gets uploaded again tomorrow. So then you would go and do those first. So this is why we've said year 5 and 6, it's very unlikely that you are going to be teaching these bottom ones anytime soon, because you've got all of these gaps to close first. And if you're in a situation where you're closing those gaps more than you are down here, then you've got two choices. Either you do more spelling to close the gaps and teach your year group, or you make the decision of, well, we need to make sure that we close the place value gaps the most, so we do that first and we secure that and we only do that. But if you do that, then these will be gaps next year, and then there'll be those gaps to close. So in the first year, you will have to do more spelling than we recommend. So we only say 3 times 20 to 30 minute sessions, but that's when everybody started from year 2 and they've moved up with it. Because if you had been taught SES and Y, etc. in year 2, then in year 5, when we do this check, the children should be absolutely fine. They might need a reminder or something, but they should be absolutely fine. And so you should be onto your year group. So over time, you won't have to go back as much. But in this first year, you're going to have to go back a lot. So if you're the year 6 teacher, do not expect to be doing lots of year 6 objectives too quickly. And that's fine, because when you look at the year 6 stats paper, it is more, we've already broken it down, and year 2 to year 4 morphemes in our scheme built most of the words. Very few of them came from year 6 anyway. So if I show you in year 6, you'll see that we have purposefully put less morphemes for you. So you've got buffer weeks at the end of the year here, you've got buffer weeks here, and you've got this big blank bit here on purpose, because we'd rather you do less for year 6, but get the earlier ones right, because look how many you need to check. So year 6 teachers, you no doubt need to go back, and teach SESY, AN Year 3 or AN Year 4, IC or AL before you do anything else. And when you decide which ones to do out of that, you go to the earliest ones first. So if you do the test and your children haven't got the suffix Y, go and teach it from the Year 2 objectives. That's where it comes from. You go to Year 2 because it says Year 2 there, and you download that, and we're delivering a Year 2 objective to the children. It doesn't say Year 2 on anything, so the children won't know. But that's the plan. That's how you close the gap, and that's why it will work, because this spelling scheme, I could have just said teach this, but if your children can't do that, then what's the point in doing these complex ones? So that's why as we'll work to close the gap, because you force to go backwards and do those first. Right. Questions. Let me know what questions you have in the chat. But I think I've covered everything. In fact, I know for a fact I had some questions in this. So somebody just posted this. So if I've answered all of this, then I'm pretty happy. So following the baseline assessments, teachers will need to reteach graphemes that were weak for the cohort, but there are no resources that you suggest. Yes, so we don't have resources to teach those graphemes because we're not a phonics scheme. So go and use the phonics scheme that you already have, but don't keep the children away from spelling with Grammarsaurus. Carry on. Those are gaps to plug alongside. On the baseline, we did essential and parallel. The parallel ones are really not very common, so you can 100% do those alongside. The essential ones are going to hold the children back a little bit when it comes to morphology, because they're not going to be able to spell the base or stem to start with. So we're saying they're essential, but they're still parallel. Everything's parallel because we need to start. If you've got children in Year 4, Year 5, Year 6, who have done loads of phonics interventions and still got loads of gaps in GPCs, doing just that, again, clearly hasn't worked. So this is where we move on, and we scaffold and support to spell the base. And in our scheme anyway, we tell them how the base is spelled. We tell them it's STRUCT. We're telling them directly what the base is to then work with it. So they're absolutely fine to just go for it. We're not doing any sounding out. It's all told to them, so they can't go wrong, really. Okay, what percentage of children making errors would you deem as being weak enough for the grapheme to be retaught? There's no percentage of anything. If a child has a gap in a GPC, that's their gap. There's no pass mark for the grapheme assessment. There's nothing holding anyone back. It's just their bespoke gap. That gap might be there for a very long time. It could be there for 10 years. It could be there for a long time. If phonemic awareness is poor, it could be there for a long time. Instead, we're teaching morphemes, we spell with letters, and we're not over-relying on sound to sound things out. So parallel, if they still don't get it, they're still going to make progress with morphology, don't worry. Following the teaching of the first 3 units, teachers will then teach a mixture of the units assigned to their year group, place value. How do you decide? So I've already explained that, haven't I? So you decide by doing the morpheme assessments that we've now shown you, that are now up specifically for Year 5. We've uploaded one to show you. The others will be uploaded tomorrow for the first unit, and the others will be up, like, that's our priority this week, to get as many up as possible. How will teachers know? I've already said that. Right, I think I've answered all those questions, and every other one I've seen, I think it's confirmed it. We are doing a letter to help you send home to parents to explain it. That will be out tomorrow. And of course, come on the training, as I've said numerous times before. Okay, so I think that's everything. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Any questions at all? I'm going to stay for 2 more minutes in case people type another question linked to it. No? Okay. Well, if you post them after, that's fine. I'm now just going to copy and paste this video into people's questions because this covers everything for the baseline assessment and where to go next. Okay. Thank you. I'm not coming back to do another live now. I'm going to be quiet for 5 minutes. See you later. Bye.